Who benefited the most from World War II? The United States became a superpower after the war. Who loses the most? The Soviet Union also became a superpower after the war. Is this right? Is this reasonable? Soviet World War II carried 80% of Germany's offensive force. How did a country that was half destroyed become a superpower? In fact, the Soviet Union in the years just after World War II, comprehensive strength of a superpower 27 million Soviets died during World War II. This isn't a casualty, not including the wounded. This is death. 1 in every 7 people in the country died. National mobilization, 3,400. 8.7 million died on the battlefield. Many people don't know what this concept is. The United States, a major participant in World War II, China, Poland, Canada, Australia, Netherlands, Greece, Yugoslavia. These major participants, the total number of dead soldiers is not as much as that of the Soviet Union. On average, 1 in every 4 videos in the Soviet Union died. This isn't considered an injury. This is the death toll alone. Facing the powerful German Blitz, the Soviet Union can be said to have forced people not just to take over. The economy has also been hit hard. 30% off. You can do it. 60% rate, 50% stake. After the war, grain production was only half of what it was before the war. 1946 to 1947. World War II ended in 1945. 2 years after the war, at least 1 million people starved to death in the Soviet Union. Some villages have become ghost villages with no one left. The international community estimates the number of people who starved to death in the Soviet Union was between 1.5 and 2.5 million. The Soviet Union refused to admit it and said that it was just a rumor spread by foreign forces. On the Soviet Union was that it lost both comprehensive assessment. Soviet economy regressed by more than 10 years. Some historians also evaluate it's about 15 to 20 years behind. Western countries' concerns about the Soviet Union it is not mainly because of his strong national strength. There are 2 aspects: military power and ideology. He mobilized the military during World War II. Don't go too far in reducing the military after the war with tens of millions of troops. The Soviet Union retained its military. After the apparent disarmament, the Soviet Union still maintains several million troops. The countries in Central Europe and the West. Who can sleep soundly? Your neighbor's house is full of ammunition. Do you dare to speak loudly? Ideology is more terrible. The Soviet Union declared that it would overthrow of capitalism, building a socialist camp. The showdown is to unite workers around the world. Overthrow your capitalism. Do you think countries like Britain, France, and the United States are not panicking? The United States is far away. Those Western European countries cannot win the argument. I can't beat them. That's why they were afraid of the Soviet Union. Why do you think NATO was established? Who is Europe's collective defense against after the war? You can do it easily. But the Soviet Union did not respond. The comprehensive strength of superpowers. The Soviet Union. You can do it easily. No conclusion. Whoever talks about this issue has his or her own subjective opinion. I will talk about. Let's first talk about the core characteristics of a superpower. 4 elements. First, global political influence. You need to have your own sphere of influence. You can still dominate the international order. During World War II, the Soviet Union pushed westward, liberating Eastern Europe. It's called liberation, but it's actually a disguised occupation. 1947. Mania. Bulgaria officially turns red in February 1948. Czechoslovakia turns 1949. Red. Hungarian Constitution turns 1949. Red. Soviet Union established as a bridgehead. Stand against the West, including in Asia. You can do it easily. The Soviet Union was basically politically. You can do it. At this time, although the main influence in Central and Eastern Europe, it already has the power to influence the world from the perspective of global political influence. My personal opinion, the Soviet Union in possessing the political influence of a superpower. Second point, military hegemony. Guns are always the key. Truth is within the range of the cannon. You can do it. After all, it is the military industry that sacrifices capitalism. Outside is howling all day long. We have to calm them down first. Concentrate national resources to form a military-industrial complex. The military force is awesome. Iron Torrent is good alone. Look at how poor the people in China are. Typical of a strong country with a weak people. After the war, Americans spent their days feasting and reveling in the streets. In the conventional forces are stronger. The Soviet steel torrent is strong. At this time, as long as the U.S. nuclear monopoly is not broken, it can never be called military hegemony. Until 1949, the Soviet Union's first atomic bomb, RDS-1, the Soviet Union acquired nuclear weapons. Only then did they truly have the foundation for military hegemony. I think the Soviet Union, in 1949, it had the military strength of a superpower. I think there are also opinions. Consider remote strike capabilities and military alliance system. Military alliance that was established in 1955. Confronting NATO led by the United States. Long-range strike is the intercontinental missile of 1957. But I think these 2 options are not particularly necessary. This is the process of the U.S.-Soviet confrontation Union at Yonghee in 1949. Plus huge conventional forces. I think he already has military supremacy. The third point is economy and technology. The Soviet Union's passionate economy is hard to describe. World War II destroyed half of the economy. The fourth five-year plan was adopted after the war. The Soviet economy as a whole has only just returned to its pre-war level. The heavy industry is definitely exceeded, and he controls many satellite countries. Those are all Soviet superchargers. 1949 year, the Soviet Union, through the Beijing-Shanghai Association, also known as the Economic Mutual Assistance Association, a self-sufficient internal market. Don't play with the capitalist market economy. Let's fix our own. Polish coal, aluminium, you can do it. Bulgaria gives me food. Czech Republic produces machinery for me. The entire socialist camp, although they were all absorbed by the Soviet Union. You can do it. And the annual growth is quite fast. But the hidden danger is too great. The collapse is inevitable. From an economic perspective, although the Soviet Union developed abnormally, also, in 1949, we had the economic influence of a superpower. For the technology sector, the Soviet Union's most dazzling achievement was the launch of first artificial satellite. 1961, Gagarin first went into space. This is in the history books of middle schools. Germany, right? Acquired rocket and jet engine technology. For example, the 21 missiles in 1948. It is a direct imitation of the WWII missile. It was not until the 1950s that start independent research and development. In other words, we have gotten rid of our technological dependence on Germany. The Soviet Union's weaknesses were economic and technological. In my opinion, it has the strength of a superpower. It's the 50s. Fourth point, ideological output. Many people think this is not important. This is the most important thing. For the West, this is something more terrifying than nuclear weapons. If the Soviet Union lost ideologically, disappearance is a matter of minutes. Exporting ideology. We won't talk about the old methods. I want to make movies or literary works like creating a peaceful image, building a news network, etc. We won't talk about the basic operations. Talk about the difference between the Soviet Union and export revolution. The Soviet Union sent a letter to countries around the world export revolution. Their communist movement. We must resist the capitalist rulers. We want to establish our own government. For example, North Korea. I won't elaborate on Vietnam and Cuba. Some directly supported pro-Soviet regimes. For example, after the Afghan War, the Soviet Union sent a large army to attack. The Soviet Union also used political and economic control. How can they be controlled by sovereign states? For example, Egypt. I will give you industrial assistance. But you have to lean towards me, the Soviet Union. I will provide you with assistance and loans. Member states of the Beijing-Shanghai Forum. You must learn from me. Collectivization and nationalization of agriculture. You will suffer the consequences. The Soviet Union then became more and more controlling. Even provoked resistance. For example, the Hungarian Revolution in Eastern Europe. You can be the big brother, but don't think of being the father. We are flat. Because the Soviet Union's ideological output was continuous. This powerful thing cannot be described. You can do it. It may have been reached before World War II. In summary, Soviet Union. You can do it, easily. And influence. I personally prefer 1949, or when we first entered the 1950s. The Soviet Union's superpower status depended on military faction control. Add ideology and technology to prove. This interlocking system, its essence is to exploit people's livelihood internally. Exploiting friends. To maintain hegemony. In a short time, the Soviet Union's global influence is bound to rise. But there are a lot of people. Long-term forgetfulness will inevitably lead to economic structural passion. Your allies no longer trust you. Final. The Soviet Union collapsed amid multiple crises in the 1980s. Here is the potential analysis. Thank you for watching.